Hello, and I'm going to be talking to you about maths in early years today. Just going to explain a bit more what we do in class, what we have out in the continuous provision, and what some activities and ideas of what you can do at home to help their mathematical development. With EYFS Maths, there are two areas of learning. There is number and shape, space and measure. Both are equally important, and it's both what we cover in our learning throughout the year. Number is all about the numbers, the numeral, the number story, how to add, subtract, and shape is all about the different shapes in the environment, about learning to measure using the correct vocabulary for length and distance. So starting with number, in EYFS what we do as part of our learning is we do a number of the week. At the moment we're on the number 4. So we talk all about the number 4, not just how to write the number 4, but also how to make the number 4. For example, we might do 4 claps, 4 jumps. We might ask the children to get out 4 things, count out from a larger amount. So if there's a bowl of beads, we might ask them to count out the 4 beads. We also look at number blocks. And if you go onto YouTube, the number blocks channels are all on there. And each week that we look at the different number of the number blocks. So this week we'll be looking at the number of 4, and it's a lovely video where it shows the children how to make 4 in the different ways. So they have a real understanding of what the number means rather than just what the number looks like. So with number sense, it's everything about the number. We talk about, as I said earlier, how to make it, how to build it, and it's skills like these that we're developing with the children to help them when they move on further in the year, further in the key stages, when they start looking at multiplication and division in key stage 1 and key stage 2. And number is everywhere. We encourage number with absolutely everything, like tidy up time. We do countdowns. We have we ask the children to put 5 scissors in the 5 scissors block, or maybe we might ask the children to put 5 pieces of paper in the bin, just getting them used to using numbers in everything. We also look at shape, space and measure. So we look at shapes. We look at naming the 2D and 3D shapes. We'll start comparing the sizes. We're really going to try and start looking at how to describe them as well. What do they look like? Where in the classroom might they find it? Maybe in the walk home. Can they spot any of the shapes at home? Lots of activities like that to get them really used to seeing the shapes in the environment and describing them. We also look at measuring. So we look at capacity. So later on in the year, we might try making potions, or maybe if they're making tea with you, we start using the language of full, half full, empty, and we start using the mathematical terms like millilitres later on in the year. We also look at length, looking at size, I think, all the vocabulary of size, so the children are able to describe what size looks like, using words like big, small, long, short. We look at weighing, comparing weights, saying which one's heavier, which one's lighter. Time, with time we look at having a go at thinking about how our days set out. For example, do you have breakfast in the morning, or do you have breakfast in the afternoon? Do you have when are you at school, when are you in bed? Using that language of morning, afternoon, night time, and then later in the year we'll look at half past, looking at the clock face, half past and o'clock. And also distance. We're going to show them a bit more understanding of how long something is, and start using more accurate numbers. So at the moment they might say, oh, it's 1,000 minutes away, or it's 1,000,000 minutes away. We'll start encouraging the children to use more specific times. For example, we'll show them how many seconds can they jump up and down, to try and get them used to what those seconds actually mean and the length of time, how long it actually is. Patterns we look at throughout the year, but not always just patterns with colours. It can be patterns with natural objects. Maybe when they're outside they can do a natural object pattern, or maybe looking at pattern with how they're doing claps. They might want to do like a clap, clap, jump pattern. Maybe even a sound pattern with music, showing different ways to show that pattern. We also look at money as well, but money in, especially in play, using the language of how they pay in the shop, pounds, pence, giving back change. And what we'll do in classroom is we'll set up lots of scenarios for them to use that, to have that opportunity to talk about money and use money. These are some of the resources that we use in the classroom. We use a lot of natural resources, resources around them, because with natural resources, it's really, because there's such a difference in size and variation, it really helps the children in thinking about what each one's worth, and how much each one, the value of one is. We also use learnng, which is the middle diagram with circles on it. It's a brilliant way to practice adding. For example, I sometimes show them the 8 learnng, and I might ask them to build learnng on top of that. For example, they might do 4 and 4 makes the 8, or 6 and 2 makes the 8, and it really gets them used to using that add-in language. Also, we use 10 frames. So 10 frames is a brilliant tool that we're using at the moment to help the children really count out accurately, to help them they're starting to add and to realise what that amount means. For example, sometimes I try and be tricky and put one gem in one corner, one gem in the other corner, and try and describe to the children that it still means 2, even if they are apart. Just showing that they truly understand how to count out, and even if it looks different from what they're used to, rather than in a line, that it still makes the 2. The number doesn't, the amount doesn't change. At the bottom, we also have a part whole model that we will start using later on in the year, and this is a great tool to help them with their addition. And so what we encourage the children to talk about is the parts and the whole. So at the top of the diagram, we will put the whole number on, not always just the numeral. We might not put 10, we might put like a 10 learnng piece to help the children's understanding, and then we'll encourage the children to look at 2 parts, so it gets used to, again, like with what they're doing in the learnng, how to build a number. For example, 10, they might put 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, and to know the whole is 10. And then we'll start, as we go through the year, we'll start mixing up a little bit, and like maybe they can recognise that 7 and 3 also makes 10. What we work towards at the end of the year is early learning goal. So this is what we try and work with the children throughout the year, so they're getting more confident to achieve this early learning goal at the end of the year. So this is the requirements at the end of the year, so it's not quite what they're working at the moment, but that's what we're hoping to get them towards the end of the year. So for example, for numbers, for the children to count reliably with numbers from 1 to 20, so they can place the numbers in order, say which one is 1 more, 1 less, using objects and quantities like with the part whole model that we showed earlier, and they can show that they can add and subtract 2 single numbers together, so like 6 and 5, things like that, and that they can count on and back to find the answer. So they can start towards the end of the year, the academic year, we'll encourage them to maybe start looking at a number line, knowing so the children have the understanding that when they're subtracting, they're taking, the number's going to get smaller, and if they're adding, the number's going to get greater. And with shape, space and measure, it's a lot about the language and the vocabulary that the children use. For example, when they're starting to talk more about size, weight, capacity, position, so that's all like with instructions. You might ask them to put, oh, can you put Teddy on top of the table? Can you put Teddy under the table? And really getting them used to solving problems with them. Sometimes with the solving problems, I might pose a question to them, maybe about organising the pencils in a pot, to really get them used to understanding how to build things and how to make things. Also about patterns, not only just to be able to copy my pattern, but also create their own and even continue a pattern, and having a look at everyday objects and shapes, and again using that mathematical language to describe them. So what can you do at home? So counting out objects is a great way to practice at home. Maybe fruit and the fruit ball, asking them to count out, oh, can you show me 5? Ask them to count at 5, but saying it 1 to 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Also encouraging number recognition, so even license plates and cars, maybe pointing to a number and asking the children, oh, do you know what that number is? Or on a sign, or in the shops, if they see a number, just asking your children to identify what that number is. Number blocks, as I said earlier, is fantastic. That's on YouTube. It's also on BBC iPlayer. Number songs, we always sing number songs in receptions. That could be nursery rhymes like 5 Little Speckled Frogs, but it can also be, there's a lot of YouTube videos where it's like count to 100, Captain America, that they really enjoy. Reciting number 0 to 20. Again, the number songs are really good at helping that. Number formation, so just practicing making sure our numerals are the right way round and that they're not back to front, and just practicing those numerals. And also vocabulary, like exposing your children to words like 3D and 2D shapes, and when they're weighing, using the mathematical terms, just to get them used to using it so they can apply it when they're in Key Stage 1. Thank you so much for listening to the presentation. If you've got any questions or anything to ask, please let us know and I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you.